Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Wednesday continued his campaign for re-election. Focusing on culture war issues, DeSantis doubled down on his controversial stance on gender-affirming care for minors. He decried the teaching of so-called gender theory in public schools, a topic that has earned him accusations of transphobia and bigotry by many LGBTQ Americans and their allies. DeSantis celebrated his state's commitment to take doctors' medical licenses if they performed gender-affirming surgeries on minors as well. The issue has become a hot-button topic among Republican politicians who believe it can help them win votes among parents wary of social change. DeSantis is currently leading his Democratic challenger, Charlie Crist, by double digits.
First of all, how great does it feel to be a Floridian? How excited are you to vote for America's governor? So very early on, I started this little something that you might have heard of, Mamas for DeSantis, right? So everyone was saying, we had a lofty goal, and people were saying, oh, it couldn't be done. We said we are going to sign up 1 million mamas to support the governor. Well, I have news for you. We didn't sign up 1 million moms to support the governor. We signed up 1.1 million moms across the state. Because I'll tell you, mamas are fired up because we believe that parents and moms have the right to be able to say what we want for our child's education. We believe in safe communities, and we believe in Governor DeSantis. So 1.1 million mamas strong. Mamas, this election is now in your hands. Go out and vote. God bless you guys.
You want me to throw it? She brought some Mamas for DeSantis hats. Anyone want one? Well, what a great achievement. She's been putting up a lot of wins for the people of Florida and, of course, a lot of wins for our campaign. And, I think some people see commercial, all that stuff, and they're like, well, if she was willing to marry him, he must be okay because she's really terrific. But she's right about standing for education. And we've drawn a very clear line in the sand in the state of Florida that the purpose of our school system is to educate kids, not to indoctrinate kids. We believe that parents have fundamental rights with respect to the education and upbringing of their children. And a school district or a charter school or private school, they're important, but they do not supersede the rights of parents with respect to how you raise your kids. And we are making sure that we are doing education properly understood. We are not doing critical race theory. We're not teaching kids to hate their country or to hate each other. We're going to teach real American civics. We're going to teach about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and that our rights come from our Creator. And we are going to make sure that parents can send their kids to elementary school without having instruction telling a 6-year-old that they may have been born in the wrong body. We're not going to allow them teaching kids that their gender is a choice. And we're not going to let schools get into issues of sexuality with these very young kids. It's not going to happen in Florida. And not everybody liked that when we took a stand on that. I had the media attacking, the left attacking. They even corralled big corporations to oppose parents' rights and oppose what we were doing, including big companies that cater to kids like Disney Corporation. And, it was smart of them to do it, though, because they know on the left they're not going to win elections on this issue. If they run and tell parents, elect us because we on the left want to have gender ideology in first grade, people don't want that. Parents don't want that. My parents are older. They don't even understand how this could be going on. And it's just the way, so they know that's not a winning political message. But what they thought is, if we can get Disney, which is very powerful, and let's just be honest, until I became governor, Disney got everything they have ever wanted from the state of Florida political system, okay? So it was a smart play because you do that, they will bring their power to bear, and they hope that a guy like me will be forced to back down. Well, and honestly, it was not a bad theory. But I got news for them. Woke corporations do not run the state of Florida with me in charge. We run the state of Florida. We're standing up for parents. We're standing up for kids. And I know in the past that's not how it's been when some of the big boys bring their power to bear. But in here, we don't back down, and we stand up for what's right. And not only did we do that, but we also had a situation where they wanted to repeal it going forward. They pledged that they were going to basically wage an all-out assault on the rights of parents in Florida. And look, as a company, I think it's dumb to take these positions, but you have a right to do it. But you don't have a right to force us to subsidize it. You don't have a right to force us to put you on a pedestal while you're doing this activism. And so we saw that they had their own government in the Central Florida for decades, that they're exempt from laws that many of their competitors have to follow, and that they get massive tax breaks. And so we said, okay, that's a very sweetheart arrangement, and now you're on this pedestal and you're using your preferences and privileges to attack core state policies, and that's unacceptable. Those values are not our values, and so you're free to express it, but we work with the legislature, and now Disney is no longer going to have its own government. They are going to be living under the same laws as their competitors and everybody else, and they are going to pay their fair share of taxes in the state of Florida. But it brings up an issue because even 5 years ago, we would never even be having this discussion. But it raises the issue of the effects on our society of major institutions being infected by what I call the woke mind virus. And this is an ideology trumping reason and evidence, but you see it in corporate America, you see it in media and tech and all these other things. I mean, just think, we also in Florida had to sign legislation. I was happy to do it. We signed legislation protecting women's sports in Florida. But who would have thought that you would have had compete on the men's swim team for 3 years, then switch to the women's team and win the women's championship? How is that fair to these women's swimmers? How is it fair to people that are working hard to try to be able to compete with integrity and fairness? And so, of course, it's not right. And so we took a stand on that. We were criticized for that. Some of the companies weren't happy with us, and the NCAA was even threatening not to hold events in states that passed legislation protecting women's sports. Well, I said on that, they say they're going to boycott Florida. Make my day. I don't care. I'm going to do what's right. And we signed the bill. Did they boycott Florida? No, of course not. So we did that, but it shows you. And then, unfortunately, we're having now to address the really gruesome issue of sex change operations being performed on minors. And what happens is these are teenagers. You go through a lot of different things as teenagers. It's a difficult time. There's growing pains. And most of the dysphoria, over 80% of the dysphoria that's identified, resolves itself by the time people become adults. And yet, you have now had a major increase across the country in giving a teenage girl a double mastectomy, changing boys with castration, and really gruesome stuff. Now, what they will tell you in the newspaper is this is gender affirming care. And what that is, that's a euphemism to try to hide the grotesqueness of what they're doing. And the question is, in a state like Florida, if a 15-year-old can't get a tattoo, is it really appropriate that they could have their body parts taken off? No. So we saw that happening, and we said that's wrong. So we worked with our Surgeon General and others to provide the medical evidence showing that this is not justifiable, brought it in front of Florida's Board of Medicine, and now, because they've acted, if physicians are performing sex change operations on minors, they are going to lose their medical license.